Hey everyone, welcome back to Two Idiots Review. I'm Caleb.
I'm Hannah, and we have seen Captain Marvel twice, and now we're going to talk about it.
We'll probably still do our 1 minute spoil free review when we do like our March 1 minute movie reviews, but this one is going to be a more in-depth discussion and will contain spoilers, so watch it.
Like, subscribe, and then we'll see the movie and then come back.
Or if you've seen the movie, then please stay.
Yes. But yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot over the next few weeks because there's going to be a lot of movies coming out and more trailers. If you don't follow us on Instagram, go ahead and you might want to head over there. We just got back from a museum that had like all costumes from like Marvel movies, and they had some from Solo. So we're going to be posting a bunch of pictures on our Instagram if you want to check those out. Yeah, let's
go ahead and hop
into it.
I'll let you go first.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Was there some things that I wish they hadn't done? Yes. It's not a perfect movie by any means, because I don't think that exists.
What? How dare you?
But
The Avengers was the best perfect movie ever.
But, I mean, I liked it both times. I actually thought it was more fun to watch it the first time, just because the theater we were in...
The audience was better.
The audience was better.
We went to like a fan event for the first showing, and so like everyone was more of a really big fan rather than just like the casual fans that we had. So like when they did the Stan Lee tribute at the beginning,
with the Marvel credits,
yeah,
like
with the Marvel credits,
like,
and then it said like
thing.
"Thank you, Stan," and like everyone, like some people I think even like stood up and were clapping, and then
Yeah.
like our second showing, like that happened. One person was just like, "Aw," and like there was no
like,
clapping, no anything.
Like,
and
show
I
some
was
respect.
But yeah, it's much more fun to watch it with like people who are excited to be there to see it.
But the movie, it just, it jumped right in. There was no, like, you never know with, like, how they're going to do an origin story, if it's going to start with their children. Or, we're going to kind of see something and then that leads them to where they are now, or are we going to kind of do, like, where they're adults and then they're going to flash back to when they were children kind of a thing. They actually... I feel like kind of avoided both of those.
Well, they did show flashes. It wasn't quick. It wasn't full on
yeah,
scene. It was quick flashes.
But that's what I mean, though. Like, we didn't actually see, like, full-blown scenes of her really as Carol, like, before she became Captain Marvel.
No, not so much.
So, which I kind of liked. I liked that they kind of avoided that.
She started off when she was already...
She was already a Kree
kind
warrior.
Of, kind of Captain Marvel-esque. Or at least had the abilities.
Yeah. But yeah, so the movie just starts you, like, right off, like, you're kind of in it, which was nice. I didn't really see a lull. Like, it just kind of started, and then it just went, like, the entire time. Like, there was no, like, okay, like, let's get through this part. Like, that was kind of slow. Like, I just felt like the pacing, I thought it moved very well. Like, it wasn't, there was no slow moments.
Which is something I kind of had an issue with, more so the first time. When I liked it better the second time. I wasn't necessarily like her, where she really liked it even after the first viewing, and I thought it was okay. Like, I gave it like a 7 out of 10, like on my first viewing, and then I gave it a higher score after my second viewing. And part of the issue was that I felt like they had too much story to compress into a, it was a 2-hour movie, but with credits and everything, it's more like an hour and 50, hour and 45.
Yeah.
And I just felt like there was so much story and so much that they had to get in there that it just felt like there was just no moments for the characters to breathe a little bit and for us to kind of get to, since this is an origin story, like, we don't know this character yet. So I felt like this would have been a better pacing for a movie where we already know the character, whereas we didn't have those moments where it's like we could get to know them a little bit better.
But I will say that there was that one down moment when she comes back and she's meeting with Maria.
Yeah,
like,
that was it.
That was like the time where
that was like the only time where you could just like, okay, like, she's just like, she's not running from this, that, or going to fight this or that. They were just kind of there and talking, and it was a nice interaction, even when Talos got there, and like,
Yeah, like that whole thing at the farm.
That whole sequence was one of the better parts of the movie.
I actually really liked that whole part. I liked the cast. I thought it was like the all around, like, supporting, I mean, I know there are people out there that hate Brie Larson, but I thought she did a good job as Captain Marvel.
It took a little bit of getting used to because I don't know, like her delivery on things.
She was very deadpan with her jokes, and which I appreciate because that's how I am. So I wasn't, she was very sarcastic, kind of very dry with her delivery. She wasn't like here's the big setup, like. And her and Samuel L. Jackson were the comedy duo that I didn't know I needed.
they had a pretty good chemistry, and they get
they had a nice back and forth. I liked it a lot.
It gave us something new because there are always Marvel movies, whether it's Ant-Man with the heist kind of feel or whatever the case may be. Like Marvel always tries to find new ways to tell you a superhero story, and this one was more like a buddy cop type movie.
A little bit, yeah.
And that's something we haven't really had. That's not something we've had yet in the MCU. So in a lot of ways, this movie did feel a lot different and a lot newer and fresher than it's not like it's just the same old Marvel movie, the Marvel formula. Which I mean, in a way. It still fits the mold where, they have a lot of humor in it and there
are still some good, heart moments in there.
But the way they told the story and, the elements in it, and like I said, more like a buddy cop, which we haven't seen, and so they always find a way to kind of change up how they tell a superhero story, which is something I always appreciate about Marvel, because I never know exactly what I'm going to get until I see it.
Yeah. So the cast was, first of all, CGI'd young...
he looked. That was the best. Really that was the best de-aging CGI I think I've ever seen. Because even on Tony Stark in Civil War and stuff like that, it still looks a little off. Whereas this, I'm like, I kept looking hard because I'm like, this is gonna ruin it for me if it's not dead on. Because that much. Because usually when they used it sparingly. Whereas this was a whole on.
Well, and so I don't know if the de-aging on Coulson.
I don't think it was as good.
No, it was kind of part of it was the hair. And I don't know, just because he doesn't have hair, although Samuel Jackson's bald now too. But it's just the hair part was I don't know if that was
CGI.
No, I don't know. I assume that was fake hair, and then they CGI'd his face. But maybe they did all of it. I don't know. But the hair part, up in here, there was something off, and it just kept every time he came on. I was like, I want to enjoy Coulson because Coulson's in the movies. But every time he popped up, I was like, ugh.
But Samuel Jackson's.
Samuel Jackson's looked really good.
It was flawless. I couldn't tell that it wasn't just a young Samuel L. Jackson. It was crazy.
The Skrulls looked really good.
They did much better than they did in the trailers. Because sometimes in the trailers they all
that's because it wasn't done.
They cleaned it up a lot.
The transformations that they were doing looked really good. There was only one part where Carol was falling right before she dies for the first time.
Oh my!
That I was like,
is
that supposed to look like crap? Or
and even the scene where she's talking to the intelligence for the last time, and she goes up into the wall and then into it, she's kind of floating and watching a screen. Her floating there looks like. It looks fake. The CGI on that scene looked off to me too.
That one I wasn't as noticeable to me.
But the rest of the CGI,
the rest of the
CGI looked great. For me, it was just those two instances when she's falling, and then when she was floating in with the Supreme Intelligence. I was like, that looked.
But everything else, once she was glowing and flamey and all that other stuff, that all looked fine. There was just a couple of things where you're just like, oh, what?
Yeah, but when you spend that much to make Samuel Jackson look like he's, in his 40s, 50s again, sometimes you have to make cuts somewhere.
Yeah. Story-wise, I liked the story. Our neighbors are screaming outside. But I liked, where they kind of present you as the Skrulls being the villain, and then kind of slowly you're realizing no, I don't think they are, and then obviously they do the big reveal when she finally is seeing her actual memory for the first time.
The thing I did notice the first time was the opening scene was that sequence, but it was with a Skrull approaching instead of. And then so the second time I was watching it, I was like, oh, her memory is they projected a Skrull in there.
Yeah. So the Supreme Intelligence is basically brainwashing her into what she wants. I liked that they were kind of slowly letting her find out.
Talos was definitely one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Yeah, he was good.
Ben Mendelsohn, that's his name, right?
Mendelsohn, I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, his performance as Talos was really well, even with him and all the makeup and
then even just him as himself.
And even him as himself.
Samuel Jackson's boss.
Yeah. And his whole story arc from the beginning of the movie all the way to the very end, I was like, that was one of the best parts in the movie for me.
Yeah.
Which is part of which was another issue I had the first time watching the movie. Was I was like, I liked other elements more than I liked Captain Marvel, and I was like, and that shouldn't be the case when it's Captain Marvel's movie. And so I didn't like that. They didn't give her that as good of an arc as they gave a side character who was supposed to be like, a villain / twist into a good character.
Well,
and I was like,
I mean,
like that. I liked it, and I connected with his arc more than I connected with hers.
Well, and I think part of it is that she was still, brainwashed, so she's still trying to fight her emotions. So you're not getting to see, like,
but
him have like this full like.
I didn't feel like they gave her that moment where it's just like, you win over the audience. And past examples of that would be Captain America jumping on the grenade, the fake grenade, when he was getting picked to be the Super Soldier.
Way before then. But,
yeah. But like to me, like that was like his character's moment where it was like, wow, like this guy, he's like one of the most decent human beings out there. And then a more recent example would be Black Panther, in the Black Panther movie, when he was confronting his dead father and all the ancestors or whatever, and like he was telling them like that they were wrong for doing everything that they did, and like he was like confronting them and all, that was kind of the scene. It was later in the movie rather than being earlier in the movie, but that was like the moment where I was like, wow, like he's like makes me want to root for him, because like he was just he's a decent person who's just trying to do the right thing. And I just feel like they never really had that one moment in this movie where it's just like, wow, like she's winning me over, like this is it. And it was just more of like, I don't know, like they gave me that moment for Talos when his family came out, and I was like, oh, like yeah, like I really want to like
You're like, don't lose the family.
Yeah, and so like they gave me that moment for Talos, but they didn't give it to me for Captain Marvel, which is a little unfortunate.
I mean, I guess I could somewhat agree with that. I think that she did a good job of, like, because she's basically trying to be stoic the whole movie, like, because they're like, remember your training, I trained you, blah blah blah, like you can't have emotions. So she's trying to fight every emotion, but I think that she did a good job of also letting emotion come through sometimes, to where you're like, oh, like she's she's not feeling she's not feeling that. So I think she did a good job of trying to balance that a little bit. It was honestly one of the funniest Marvel movies, I think, in a while.
Really?
Yeah, because I think our theater was. I mean, I was laughing too. I don't want to say like we were just sitting there like.
I thought it was funny, but I didn't think it was.
I definitely think it was one of the funnier ones.
It was funny just because it's a Marvel movie and they're going to have that humor in there. But I mean, obviously, it was a little bit more funny than like the Infinity War, Winter Soldier, Civil War.
Well, yeah, those were like super like intense.
A little bit more darker, grittier movies. But I didn't think it was like Guardians of the Galaxy or like Ant-Man kind of like funny, in my opinion.
Oh, I don't know. There was a lot of like full on laughter.
I mean, there was, but I always do that for every Marvel movie.
Yeah, but not always. But I felt like it was more consistent. Like, it was more consistent throughout.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It didn't give me that, like, I felt like the first Guardians and...
Oh, I think it's funnier than the first Guardians. At least I thought so.
And, like, I feel like Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp, both of the Ant-Man movies were
well, it's hard because I love
really funny.
And not that I don't love Chris Pratt, but...
But yeah, I mean, but it's funnier than some of the darker ones, but to me...
Obviously, like, those aren't supposed to be... It's like,
but even in Infinity War, they still had a lot of jokes, even though...
Well, there was some. I wouldn't say a lot. There was definitely some lighter moments in that, but...
But it was handled better than Ragnarok. Sorry,
yeah,
I don't like Ragnarok.
We're not big fans of Ragnarok.
It's just this one had moments where it was serious and knew when to be serious, where I feel like Ragnarok didn't know when to do that. But anyway, that's not that. We're not reviewing Ragnarok.
Yeah, so I mean, Sam, I know him, so we go by Sam Jackson.
We call him Sam.
He was really good. It was nice to see Gregg back in there as Coulson.
I would like to see him a little bit more.
I would like to see him a little more, but apparently he was a rookie, so it wouldn't make sense for him to be around. Maybe in the sequel. So now, some of the negatives.
I definitely got some big ones for that.
Well, one of them was the reveal that this Dr. Lawson, who she was seeing in the Supreme Intelligence, was Mar-Vell. I was like,
I didn't mind that as much.
It wasn't like as, but I still was just kind of like.
I mean, they could have very easily just made that scientist character a male like he was in the comics, rather than like trying to pull instead of trying to make it all like, you know, a twist and be like, oh, that's who that is. It could have just been.
I mean,
like,
it was Annette Bening, so I feel like that's, you know, they were like.
I mean, she did a really good job portraying that, because she had two different roles in the movie, being the Supreme Intelligence and being Dr. Lawson.
Yeah.
And they were very different, and she approached them very differently. And so she did a really good performance.
Yeah, and then like the biggest criticism, which is something that we're both going to criticize, is
the
how
ending,
they named
the
Avengers. The Avenger Initiative.
Oh man, yeah.
Is named after basically Captain Marvel. When they showed that picture of the plane and it said
I knew
Carol,
what was coming
Avenger,
before that.
Danvers, and I was like.
I saw it coming before that when I saw it said like the Protector Initiative or whatever it was called. And then, like, as soon as he picked up the photo, I was like, "Oh no, don't do it!" And then as soon as I saw it, I was just like, "Oh no."
So here's where I think that if they wanted to incorporate her into the Avengers like that, instead of having that be her code name, was, you know, Avenger or whatever. I feel like maybe you have the plane that they thought killed Dr. Lawson and this other pilot, which turned out to be her. Maybe that plane was just named Avenger, or, you know, she was trying to save the world or whatever. Like, maybe it was like the plane, maybe it was something. I feel like there was other ways.
Or maybe we just don't need to know why they called it the Avengers.
Maybe. But I just mean, like, since they were trying to incorporate, like, there was a better way to do it than having it be named after her code name.
They were just trying way too hard to make this connected to the rest of the MCU, which I feel like they didn't need to do that, because they already had the Tesseract in it, which has been, you know, throughout a lot of the different Marvel movies. They obviously have Nick Fury and Coulson, and they have all these different elements that are connecting it to the greater universe, and they didn't really need to name the Avengers after her.
Yeah, that
because that's definitely going to be weird when Endgame comes around and she's interacting with the Avengers, and like they're named after her. Like,
and then if she sees it or something and is like, "Oh, what's this A?" and they're like, "Oh, the Avengers," she's going to be like, "That's my code name." And they're going to be like, "What?" Like, yeah. So that wasn't. And in the first theater, nobody reacted to that part. But in the second one, I just like turned over. I was like, "We're going to hear some groans," and then we hear one person when they showed it. We just hear one guy go.
I'm doing that on the inside.
I was like, yeah, I was a little bit too. So that didn't need to happen, in my opinion. That was just unnecessary for that, trying to connect it that way. That's, for me, I think, like, those are, like, the biggest ones. I know you might...
I'm trying to think, but that was pretty much it. Like, it's just...
I mean, it was a solid, like, Marvel movie. So, I mean, if you haven't, for some reason you haven't checked it out and you're watching this, like, go and check it out. Like, it's definitely worth the watch. Like,
because even, you know, like I said, it was better the second time for me. The first time I gave it, like, a 7 out of 10. And then after watching it again, like, I'm not giving it a 10 out of 10 or anything. But
He's like, 11. No.
But I did bump it up to an 8 out of 10, I thought. And, you know,
that's kind of where I'm at. Like, on a scale of Iron Man 2 to Winter Soldier, I'm around a Doctor Strange. Like,
we were talking about this earlier about where this would fit into,
like, our ranking
of Marvel movies.
They're different.
Our lists are completely different, and it's hard to say right now. It's a little too early to tell, because some movies age better than others. Because, like, for example, Age of Ultron, I walked out of it and was like, that was, like, okay at best. But now it's actually, like, one of my top 5, and it's one of my favorite Marvel movies, so it aged really well for me. So I don't know if this one will age better for me or age worse or stay the same. I don't know yet, so I'm not putting it in my... I'm not going to even try to incorporate it into my list just yet.
I mean, I can tell you, it's not in my top 5.
No.
But it's definitely not in my bottom 5 either.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere in the middle. It's just, you know...
Yeah, I feel like it might...
You'll be entertained by it. Like,
that's for sure.
That's the biggest thing, is that, you know, even if you're not completely sold on the character Captain Marvel, there's still a lot of other elements, and there's still a lot of other really cool things that happen within this movie that you'll just find entertaining and be able to enjoy it. So
you went in, like I said, if you haven't watched this and then you're watching this review for whatever reason, a lot of people, I think, were just expecting this to be just like some big political movie, like throwing their political opinions, and like I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, I didn't
like,
really
not
get
at
that
all.
either. Marvel's been very good so far about not steering politically
Not
one
picking
way
sides.
or another.
Yeah.
They just leave it to entertaining, which is what, you know, people said, oh, that's what Marvel should be doing, and I'm like, well, that's what they are doing.
Yeah, that's what they did. That's what they did do.
Yeah. So it's just that's what they do. They've been really good at it so far. I hope that continues and that they, you know, kind of just stay clear of that and just
Continue to tell the stories like they have been.
yeah, like the stories are about people. It's not about politics. It's not about anything else. It's that the great thing about Marvel is that they've always been very character driven.
Yeah, and sometimes they walk a fine line, but they never cross. Like I feel like they kind of, you know, but yeah. So like it didn't cross. I don't think it crossed that line. So if you were worried about that, like. You don't need to be.
Like the actors can be very outspoken politically, and most of them are.
Well, yeah, like anybody can be outspoken either way, is you know. But the characters that they're playing are not themselves, so I don't, you know,
And they leave it to the, you know, for the viewer to put their own perspectives on it, and interpret it any way that they want. But it's like they stay, you know, they try to stay as neutral as possible so that both sides. You know, anybody
you
can
might be able to be
it.
like, no, I think that, or I think that.
Yeah.
It's like that's fine. That's how movies are. Like they're subjective in you know in the art.
And
so
you're supposed
you
to be able to, you know, see
yeah.
yourself in some of the characters, and you're supposed to be able to relate to them. And so they stay pretty neutral for the most part.
Yeah.
And you know,
but
it was good.
So I think the last thing we need to talk about is the mother flirkin. Oh yeah, that was the other bad side.
Oh yeah, there was one other thing.
There was one other downside.
There was how Nick Fury lost his eye. I didn't like because they went the humorous route instead of like a more dramatic element of him losing his eye, and I didn't like that, especially because of the line he says in the Winter Soldier when he's talking to Captain America, and I think Captain America says something like, "Oh, you know, you're not very trusting" or something like that, and then he's like, "Well, the last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye," and then I'm like, he was trying to pet a cat and then like scratch his eye out. I was like,
and like he made the good point about if they were. It should have been before we discovered the Skrulls were actually not the villains. That it should have been the guy that was, you know,
his boss.
That was pretending that, you know, had simmed his boss, and so that way that would have been he thought he was trusting someone, and then it turned out to be a Skrull and he lost his eye.
Right.
Like, that could have been a little bit better.
I felt like that would have added more to that line that he said in Winter Soldier. You know, and then it would have been a better dramatic effect element rather than, you know, they have enough humor and they have other ways to incorporate humor. I just didn't feel like you know, the big mystery of how, you know,
he lost his eye.
The second we saw the trailers and he had both eyes, everyone's like, oh, you know, how's he gonna lose his eye in this movie? And then a lot of people knew it from the very beginning. They're like, oh, as soon as they saw like the cat, they're like, oh, the cat's gonna scratch his eye out, and people would laugh, and I'd be like, that'd be a stupid way to do it. And then that's how they did it. And I was like, you're kidding me.
Other than that stupid thing, the cat was obviously pretty cool. Especially with his interactions, not with just like Fury, but like with every time they were putting the cat towards the Skrulls, and they were like, get that thing away from me.
How did that thing get in here? I'm like, it's just a cat. Like, what's a cat?
And then I know, and then he's like, what's a cat? And I was, you know, so there was lots of.
And then when I scanned it, it's like the species flirkin. Like danger rating, like very high, and then they scan
Nick Fury and he's just like
danger rating, very little to none. And he's like,
I know. He's like, that thing is clearly broken. But yeah, so it was, you know, that was just a little extra element. The cat didn't like overshadow because he was just very minimal.
They did it very
like they kind of did it very well.
It.
Like they kind of just put it in like little moments, which I thought was good. But yeah, so.
And then the end credit scene.
Yes. So we were talking like normally.
We did a reaction to it too.
Oh yeah. So if you haven't seen that, go and check that out. Normally, you know, we don't usually talk about the movie we've seen until we do a review. But we did talk a little bit about the end credit scene today, where so the end credit scene, it starts with, you know, Cap, and he's looking at the monitors because now the numbers are, for some reason they have a running tally of people that are missing.
And I'm like, how are they knowing that? It was at like 3.4 billion And it was like
And
continuing
then they
to
were
go
showing
up.
like the different like countries where it was like, oh, this country it's like this many, and then this country it was.
And I'm like,
okay.
who's going out there and like taking like a census right now, like during all this, and being like,
Like,
all right, how many people in your family are gone?
How many people are missing? But so yeah, it starts with like Cap looking at that, and then then they kind of pan over because then they're talking about the pager. So somehow they have the pager. I don't know how they got it, and they're like, this has got to be Nick's. Like, he's obviously got this super secret pager that's going to just page one person. How they got it and all the destruction that happened, because, there was, like, car accidents and, like, planes going into buildings and, like, all this stuff.
Little thing on the street.
And it's this little thing on the street. So, I don't, does it have, like, a tracker on it? Like, that they know that, I have no idea.
How would they have the tracker to track it?
But, so Nick, they somehow have it. And then it's, like, losing signal, so they're trying to figure out. So my thing was, like, I wonder, so Cap still has the beard. That's, like, the first thing that I noticed. I was like, Cap still has the beard. So it makes you think that it's it's early in the movie. But I was saying, what if the beard is fake, whether digitally or they put on a fake beard for that, whatever.
Specifically for the end credits.
Specifically for that, just to kind of throw you off. So maybe she actually comes in later in the movie, but then they were like, oh, let's let people think it happens early because he has a beard. Because in the trailers, Cap doesn't have a beard. So he shaves, obviously, at some point.
I kind of hope that she is introduced a little bit earlier in the movie rather than later, because I don't want to see them pull like a Justice League where
she just comes
Superman just comes in at the end and just starts, wailing. Like, I'd rather her character be involved and interactive with everybody else, especially considering, like, she's going to be one of the characters moving the MCU forward. And so I'd like to have a little bit of them rubbing off on her and moving forward.
And I'm not opposed to that.
No,
I'm just curious because we know that they manipulate trailers and they do things like Hulk, apparently Hulk was in Wakanda in Infinity War, but he wasn't in the movie. So it's like who knows if what we actually saw is what we actually saw.
Yeah, they take things out all the time because like they took out Spider-Man in a lot of the trailers that we saw for Civil War because they didn't want to show him.
Yeah.
Other
when
than
they
that
do the
one
lineup
little,
of Team Tony, like they don't show him, and then like he's in there.
So I mean, who knows what's exactly going to happen? Like I said, I hope it's a little bit earlier in the movie so we can see her interactions with everybody and like kind of joining the team. So that way, she kind of carries that forward after some of these people die.
Yeah, because I feel well. That's the thing. Like I feel like the worst part is if she comes in late, and then all these people die, and then she's just like. What do you guys like? I don't know these people. Like, who cares?
And I just don't want her to be the quick fix. Like, like the Avengers have lost and they're all just like fallen and whatever. And then all of a sudden she just comes like flying in and just like pow. Like that's what I don't want.
Thanos.
Yeah. So it's like that's obviously what I wouldn't want. I honestly don't think that they would do that because the Russo brothers are really good storytellers and that just isn't good storytelling.
Yeah.
I feel like she's going to be incorporated in with the group for most of the movie, and I feel like she's obviously going to have no easy task against Thanos any more than the rest of them will. They said, I've seen interviews with the Russos, and they're like, having a character that strong does propose a challenge, but, they felt that they found a way to make her character vulnerable in Endgame, just like everybody else will be. And so, I feel like it's going to be a good movie.
Yeah, and then the final credit scene, which actually didn't make it into our reaction, but was, like as soon as they showed his office, I was like, it's going to be with Goose. And then, you were like, the cat's going to start puking, and then it does, and then it pukes up the Tesseract.
So it was really predictable. It was just...
but, I mean, they always have a humorous one. I feel like everyone, it's like Homecoming.
I don't mind humorous ones, as long as it wasn't like...
Sitting, where he's, like, trolling the audience.
That's still one of the best ones.
It was totally worth it. But, yeah, so, like, it was, little humorous moment there at the end as you walk out. But, yeah, I would say... easily an 8 out of 10. It was, definitely worth the watch. So,
So now we just have to wait until Endgame.
Yep. Now we gotta wait for an Endgame trailer. Yes, yeah, Endgame. But yeah, so that's I think about wraps that up. Let us know what you guys.
This for a really
I know we did a lot longer than I thought we were going to. Yeah, so let us know what you guys thought in the comments. Make sure you subscribe because we're going to have more coming out. Our internet is finally back on, so we've actually have a bunch of videos filmed, but it's just really hard to post when you don't have an internet source.
I never thought I'd be so excited to have the internet.
I know.
I'm just like, I can't wait to just...
I can't wait to just like look at my phone and see how fast everything goes. But no, so yeah, so we're gonna be probably posting a few older ones that we've already filmed, and then, you know, going forward, hopefully we'll be a little more consistent, assuming our internet doesn't go out again. But yeah, so make sure you subscribe, hit the like button. Thanks for watching.